Right folks, welcome to video 3. So far we have constructed these 4 parts. So these 2 bits here, these 2 bits here, and we have learned how to assemble those 4 bits together. But we need to get to this point. So if I go to the completed version, which is not that, we need to now make this. We need to make this lid. So we get to the point where we've got this. Okay, so I know I showed you this in the video the other day and it wasn't particularly clear. So hopefully this video will make it a bit clearer. So we've done these 4 bits at the bottom. We now need to make the rest. So we need to make the lid, and we need to make the dowels and the base and the top, and then assemble it all together. So let's go back to where we were, and I'll take you through it. Right, where was it? Box demo. I think it's this one. So, we need to, well, as I was explained in the previous video, we need to make the lid part separately. Now, when we made it in the workshop, obviously it was easier for us to do the make the whole box 80mm thick, or high I should say, and then split it with a bandsaw. We won't be doing that with this. We'll be doing it as a 50, which is this bit. This bit's 50 high, and the next bit's going to be 30mm high. So we need a new part studio. So down the bottom left, click here, create part studio. And we need to, as always, start with a new sketch. So we'll sketch this on the front plane. Look at the front plane. And we're going to go for a rectangle tool. And we're going to make this 125 by 30. Tick. And remember, if you didn't get to automatically put those dimensions in, you need to click on the part, double click it in fact, and then you can use your dimension tool here, or you can press the D and that'll give you back your, there, so D, that'll give you back the option to put in the dimensions. Right, so there's our sketch of 125 by 30, and we're going to just simply extrude this. So if we click on the sketch here on the left, extrude tool is there, and we know this is 18mm. Let's stick with what we were doing before, which was doing it away from us. Press tick. There we go. Okay, so we know one of these parts needs to be solid, and it'll have a hole in it for a dowel one side and a screw the other side, and the other part will have a rebate in it. We'll do the rebate on this one, I think. No, in fact we won't. We'll do the hole in this one. So I need to look at this side here, and I need to create a new sketch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to sketch, click on here. Excuse my voice, it's still very bad. So it's doing that sketch 2 on that work plane. Click at the front, and now we're going to be drawing on that front work plane. So I'm going to go to my circle tool, and I'm just going to whack one about EA, 8mm, type 8, enter, and then I'm going to use my dimension tool here to set the centre of the circle. If it will let me select it, there we go, to that edge. And that's going to be 9mm. And then also the centre of the circle to the top, and that's going to be 15. Fantastic. Select that sketch, and we're going to just going to look at it so you can see what's going on. And we're going to extrude that, and hopefully remember we're going to remove, which will automatically send it all the way through. Well, it will send it that direction. And we're going to change blind to through all, and that's going to give us our hole throughout that whole part. Let's just click on it. So have a look. There we go. So that goes straight through. Go back to my other view. Fantastic. That's all we need to do to that one. The next thing we need to do is we need to do the other part. Now I'm going to do it a little bit different. I'm going to do a new sketch again. But I'm going to do it on the front plane. So click front here or over here. It makes no odds. Excuse me, that's my fault. New sketch, front plane. I look at the front plane, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it next to it. So random size. I'm going to go 125 again by 30. That's interesting. It's done it across it. We don't want that to happen, so I'm going to get rid of that. And I'm going to start it a little bit further away. So sketch, front plane, rectangle, and I'm going to do it there. 125 by 30. Let's have a look at that. Extrude it. Other way. 18 millimeters. Okay, this time, what I'm going to do, I need to rebate this. So there was a multitude of ways to do this, but the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to do it as a separate sketch. So I'm going to go sketch, and I'm going to sketch on the top. Now I want this to be on that plane there. So I'm going to look at that. That's on the top. So I'm going to look at that there. I'm going to move it so it's in the middle, and I'm going to use my rectangle. Same as we did last time. Now I could do it from this bit, or I could do it from this bit. It makes no odds really, because we can turn it around when we're assembling it. So I'm going to do it from here. Now it's constrained to halfway, which is 9 millimeters. So I just need to, if I hover over that one, I can change it. So I need to change that to the thickness of the bit of timber that's going to go into it, which is 18 millimeters. 9 can stay the same. That's fine. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. Up to halfway, then out, change that to 18. And tick, that's good. Right, so I can select that sketch now. And I'm going to extrude it. So I'm going to look at it here. Extrude, and I'm going to remove again. All the way through. Tick, good, that's it. Fantastic. So that's my front bit, my back bit. It's going to line up hopefully with the other bits I'm going to do now. So that's the first part. So feel free to pause it here, or remember in the video where this was. Go back and follow that through as many times as you need to. What I'm going to do for the other two parts, if you look back at Part Studio 2, which is what I did first, I've basically done the shorter version of these. I now need to do this version here. Okay, so I need to do the longer bits. So I'm going to go to Create Part Studio. So New Part Studio, and I'm going to create those bits that fit in. And it makes sense for me to kind of orient them how I'd want them to do it. It's just less messing around when I come to assemble later on. So a sketch, and I'm going to sketch on, let's do it slightly differently. I'm going to sketch on the front again. But this time I'm going to sketch it this way. So I'm going to go from the center point, from the origin. We know it's going to be 18 thick, and it's going to be 30 wide this time. So I'm going to extrude the full length, just for the sake of variety. So before I drew the full width, this time I'm going to extrude the full length. So that's my sketch selected. I'm going to extrude it to the way to a distance of 125. Wallop. There you go. And this time I'm going to put my my hole in the end, the dowel hole. Now we know if the... In fact, let's just do that first. So I'm going to put a new sketch on to draw the circle that's going to make the hole. I'm going to put it there. Look at the front. Circle tool. And this way I don't even need to dimension it as such. I can pick up that circle and I can pick up, sorry, that centre point and that centre point. And there you go. If I hovered, so what I did is I hovered over one and I came over and I hovered over the other. And if I go into the middle, it picks up the centre point and that's constrained now. So all I've got to do is set it as an 8mm hole. That is bang in the middle. I don't need to do anything else. So I'll tick that, I'm happy with it. That was sketch 2. So if I select sketch 2 now, I'm going to go to extrude. I'm going to remove. Now because I want a 30mm deep hole, because I've got a 30mm down. The first part I've gone through is 18mm thick. So the remainder of the hole in here is 30 minus 18, which is 12. So the depth will be 12mm. Press tick. And there it is. So if we zoom in on this, see it's quite a shallow hole, but that hole there with the 18mm bit coupled onto it will give us a full depth hole of 30mm, which is exactly what we want. And let's do another sketch just for a change, and we'll do it at the front again. Look at the front. I'm going to sketch the same thing again. It's 18mm thick, it's 30mm high, and it's going to go back 125. So we'll go to extrude that way. 125. Lovely. Okay, that's it. All done. So those are my 4 parts I need to make that top bit. So I've got my 2 front bit, well, my front bit and my back bit. And I've got my side rails, side bits if you like. Okay, so next stage, let's get these put together before we do the finishing touches. So new assembly, so create assembly. Now remember, this is different. There's no X, Y and Z visibly in here where we have as our origin point, and we need to import parts in. So we're going to, well, insert, I should say. So I'm going to insert, and I've been working in Part Studio 3 and Part Studio 4. So I'm going to, rather than insert the whole Part Studio, I think it's just good practice to click this arrow here to break it into the separate bits and just put them in individually. Just click to drop it. I'm going to zoom out slightly because it's going to get crowded. I'm going to pick that one up, whack it over yonder, and then I'm going to click on this arrow here, click part 1. So it looks like it's in between, but it's not. It's just in random space. Put it over there roughly. And part 2 can go over here. Okay, so I've got all the bits in now that I want, so I'm going to press tick. Now, they look like I've put them roughly together, but if I turn this around, all over the place. So hopefully you remember, what do I need to do to at least one part? Correct, I need to fix one. So I'm going to go for this one here. I'll right click that and go to fix. So this one now cannot move anywhere. That's great. So I may as well line up this one first because it's actually on the right. It's a little bit easier to see what's going on. So I'm just going to click that and move it away. Now remember, we're using the planar mate again, which is this bit here. So the first thing to do, I think, will probably be to get them at the same height. They're not far away. Planar mate of this face here, with this face here. Tick, yes, happy with that. It does this strange thing, but we know whatever happens, that's at the same height. I can move anywhere I like, but it's going to be at the same height. Next thing I'm going to do, so planar mate again. If it'll let me. That face. Excuse me. Move that away. Planar mate. This face. With this face. Tick. And the last thing is I need to push this back. So I need it sat like that. So I need to basically mate that face with the back face of this one. So again, how annoying. That face, spin it around. That face. And it does this little funky thing, what you know it does, but if we tick it, it should sort itself out. Lovely jubbly. Get rid of that for a sec. Okay, so I've got these two. Now neither of these can now move. That one's fixed in space. That's constrained to it on 3 different axes, so it can't move anywhere. So let's crack on and sort this one out. So again, doesn't matter what order you do it in as long as you think about X, Y, Z. So let's go for the top first. If it'll let me. Click. This mouse is awful. Click. Tick. Get rid of that. And let's go for planar. That face and that face have to be lined up. Yes, indeedy. Now we need to make those other 2 faces. So I'm going to go to. It can get really awkward, can't it? Zoom in a touch. That face, careful when you're selecting. Needs to touch that face. Bosh, there we go. Use your cube to help you. Remember, if you're ever getting a massive tears, because like kind of where I am now, I'll just go back to this, isometric, and it'll plonk me back where I need to be. So that's obviously miles away. Again, I'm going to do exactly the same thing. Let's get rid of that. I prefer to do them as separate mates, so which is why I keep pressing that red cross after I'm happy with them. So planar mate, I want that to be at the same level as that. And there's no, you might think I'm mad, but there's no harm in verbalising it to yourself as you do this, because it kind of gives you a bit of a, keeps you on the straight and narrow as you're doing it. Tick, get rid. And now I want, I mean, I could match this face to this one, or I'm just going to do this to this because I can see it. So, planar, that one, and, oh, I didn't need to zoom in, that one. Goody goody. And finally, I would like to mate that one to that one. Tick, done. And there we go. And that is the top bit done. So it all lines up. Excellent. My holes lined up beautifully. My joints are lined up, and if I try and move anything about, it will not move. That is fixed. That is constrained to that. That is constrained to that. That is constrained to that. So none of them can now move. Right. Okay, so let us do one more thing. Let's do one more part assembly. So, sorry, part studio. So create bottom left, the plus sign, create part studio. And we're now going to create the very top and the very bottom, so the lid and the base, as it were. And these are oriented on the top plane, if you like. So it makes sense to sketch it. So we're going to do a new sketch. Now the top and the bottom are identical, so I actually only need to make one. And I've got 3 dowels that are identical. And I only need to make one of each of those. So it makes sense for me to do them, just do one of each component and just insert them multiple times into our final assembly. So that's what I'm going to do here. So I'm going to sketch on the top plane. So I'll look at it up here. Now the lid is going to be 125 millimeters wide, because we know all our bits of MDF are 125 millimeters long. So we know at least one of those dimensions needs to be 125. But if we look back at this, let's go to this assembly here. This length of timber here, this length of MDF, sorry, is 125 millimeters long. But we need to add, so's this. So from here to here is 125 across, but here to here is not. So we need to add 125 of this one to the 18 of this one. And it isn't 18 here as well, because we've got 18, but we've halved it because we've got this rebate joint that is 9 millimeters. So we're adding 18 thick, 125 long, 9 thick, and if we add those up, I think pretty sure we'll get 152. So let's go back to our part studio. We're looking at the top still. We've started our sketch, so we're going to put a little on the origin. I'm going to go for 125 wide and 152 long. And if we click on top again, there we go. That is the size of our top and bottom, so our lid on our base. So all I need to do now is click this sketch, and I'm going to extrude it downwards 3 millimeters. Good, dead easy. I might as well do, I could do a new part studio. I think I'm just going to do the dowels in here. Sketch, front work plane. Let's look at the front work plane. Let's make a dowel. Just need a circle, 8mm in diameter, and it needs to be 30 millimeters long. So it's still selected. We'll just go up to extrude. The other way, please, Mr. Computer. Distance of 30. Set. Done. Easy peasy. So now these both exist in the same parts here. That's absolutely fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back. Shall I do a new assembly? Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to whack in a... No, I'm going to do a completely new assembly. So I'm going to go down here and create assembly. And you can insert other assemblies into another assembly. So let's make this our final assembly. So first of all, I'm going to insert. So these are my parts. And rather than doing the whole thing again, because I've already assembled twice, if I click on assemblies here, let us insert the whole of assembly 1. There it is. Zoom out a little bit. Assembly 2 you can't see, but it is there. Let's insert that as well. Okay, and we could insert this. I'm not going to yet. And the reason I'm not going to yet is because these are not oriented correctly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this component, and I'm going to turn it. Let me just show you how I did that again, in case you don't remember from the previous video. So this is oriented incorrectly, so I need this part to be 90 degrees round. So if I click anywhere on that part, I'll do my y-axis. If I just start turning it, I can just stop and it will allow me to enter a number 90. There it is. So that's helpful. That's grand. Now what I need to do is marry these two up. So if I look at them, they're oriented the right way, but they're in the wrong position. Oh, I've got lost. Isometric. There we go. So let's use our mate again. Click. Click. Okie dokie. Now it's we know in reality that can't happen. So I'm going to move it up to make it less confusing. So I've mated that face and that face. Let's now do that face and that face. Press tick, cross that. Upsettingly, it's gone down there. Bit of a quirk of the program. And the last thing we need to do is actually put these things together so they touch. Because at the minute they don't, they're floating in midair. So again, last thing, planar mate that one there. I'm going to mate it with that one there. Fingers crossed. There we go. Magic. Okay, grand. So that's what we're after. Okay, now what we need to do, go to insert, open up Part Studio 5, use that, and we're just going to put one of these in first. Really annoying how it's oriented everything the wrong way, but that's okay. So I'm going to put one in to start with, click it, same thing again, turn that around 90 degrees. I'm going to orient it in the same way. So it's all planar mate at the minute. Zoom in on these skinny bits. That needs to line up. It'll let me select it. That. There we go. Needs to line up with that. So it does line up, but it's put it down here annoyingly. Let's move it up. This face needs to line up with this face. It's in here, so I just need to pull it upwards. This can get fiddly, and I do really appreciate how much more difficult it is on a little wimbook or something. But you just need to be you need to persevere with it. You just do it step by step by step. Working within the rules of the domain. I'll marry that to any of these top parts would be fine. There it is. Okay. And that's it. So I'm not going to show you in this video how, I'm not going to run through the same thing, but the same thing would happen for the bottom. So we'd go to insert, click on the arrow, and I'll just insert another one of these part ones and do exactly the same thing. I'm just going to do it for underneath. What I'm going to do this time is show you something slightly different, which is how we do a cylindrical mate. So I'm going to click on part 2, which is a dowel. I'm going to put it somewhere I can actually see it. And of course you could just click them again, bring loads in, you need 3. I'll be tempted to do them one at a time. It's up to you. There's only 2 mates we have to do here because of the way a cylinder is. We don't need to worry about X and Z. If it's in a cylinder, it can only be in one place. The only other thing we'll have to do is marry it to this face here. So I'll show you what I mean. It shouldn't be necessary to turn one of these round 90 degrees. That shouldn't be necessary. So what I'm going to do, this here is cylindrical mate. It's the one next to planar mate. And I'm going to click on the outside of that cylinder. So when it's selected, it looks like that. And I'm going to zoom right in. You see if I just move that's selecting the edge of the cylinder, like the edge, the circle. If I move it up slightly, it selects the inside. I'm going to click it, which is what I've just done. Press tick. And it's just whacked it straight in there. So all I need to do now is worry about I can pull this in and out, look. Just need to worry about where that is. So all I need to do is go to do a planar mate. Tick there. So that is a flat surface, so I can use it as a planar mate. So planar mate that one to that one. Press tick, and there it is. It's perfectly aligned. And I'll just do that for each one. So I'll just run that through once more. Cylindrical mate. The outside of this cylinder I would like mated with the inside of this cylinder. Yes, please. Thank you very much. And then I want to planar mate the end. With that. Press tick. Jobs are good. Okay. So, there we go. Do that, put the bottom on, and that box is 90% there. The only other thing we've got to do then is we need to put the inside parts in. So if we go back to my original document, look at the first assembly. If I was to take this apart, I think I've done this already. If I make it translucent, you can see I've got the insert bits in as well, inside. And in fact that is demonstrated more clearly if I look at my exploded views. You see there, so look, these are the last bits we need to do. These parts in here, which is the last bit you've been working on, that you glued inside the box that helps to hold the lid on before you started painting, but that is for another video. Okay, I think that'll do for now, guys. Thanks for listening. I hope I haven't bored you to sleep. Have fun.